Today I resigned my membership of the Australian Labor Party and consequently my position as Parliamentary Secretary. I made application this afternoon to join the Queensland Greens, and my application was accepted by the Western Brisbane branch early this afternoon. This is a decision that's come as a consequence of the state government's inaction on a range of pressing environmental matters. I mean, we're faced at the moment with a climate change challenge that will be, I think, the greatest policy challenge of my generation. And I'm seeing major political parties on both sides of the aisle that are quite frankly wimping out on the important decisions. They're wimping out on things like renewable energy, giving us a world-class public transport system. They're not protecting wilderness when they've got the opportunity to do so, and they're persisting with water policies that are, I got to tell you, are just not real smart. I mean, persisting with a dam like Traviston that is going to drive 3 species to the brink of extinction is just not smart. We can do much better than that here in Queensland. I think that my future as someone who wants to make positive change for my community and on the environment is with a wonderful party like the Queensland Greens.
Well, just on that, you were elected as a Labor member.
Can I just make a comment and then we'll go to questions? Is that okay? Thank you. Well, I'm Bob Brown, leader of the Australian Greens, and I have to tell you I'm delighted with the courage of Ronan Lee in coming to be the first Greens member of the Queensland Parliament. This is arguably the most difficult state for any new political party to gain representation, although it has one of the oldest Greens parties in the country. It is a courageous move. It foregoes a long trajectory in politics, and that includes ministries in the future with the party that he was with. But he has made an ethical decision that the future of the planet is more important than the future of one of the old political parties unable to get out of the rut. It's a sign of things to come, and it's a very potent message, not just to the Bligh government, but to the Rudd government, that the world has to take account of the fragile living capacity of this planet at a time when we're not facing climate change, we're in it with disastrous results. So I salute Ronan's courage. He is going to be the first Greens voice on the floor of the Queensland Parliament. That is going to give many, many unrepresented people a voice in a parliament, and it'll be a voice for the good.
Mr. Lee, you were voted in as a Labor representative. What do you say to the people of Indooroopilly that voted in a Labor representative to the floor of the Parliament and is now faced with the Greens?
Well, look, my values haven't changed, and the values that my community voted for are still there. My voice has been very strong on the environment from day one. I got to tell you, I think people have elected me 3 times as a member in Indooroopilly because of my views on the environment, not because of any particular party label.
But they voted you as a Labor MP. They would have voted for a Green MP if they were so rusted under the Greens. I mean, have you betrayed? Well, they voted. Have you betrayed the people?
Not at all. They voted for the whole package. I mean, this is. I guess there'll be some people who'll say it's a change and not appropriate, but I got to tell you, it's a bit like when Dylan went electric. The same great tunes, but it's just got a bit more oomph.
Why couldn't you argue for these beliefs well enough in the Labor Party? Isn't it more powerful to be within the camp arguing those same policies?
For 8 years I thought it was. I've been a member of the Labor Party for 16 years. I think all of you here today would accept that I've given it a red-hot go within the Labor Party. I don't think there has ever been a stronger voice within the Labor Party for the environment.
Why not go to a by-election and give the people in Indooroopilly a chance?
Oh, well, the people will have a chance.
The choice to vote for a Green MP.
Sure, well, the people will have a very clear choice at the next state election. This gives the Labor Party and the LNP 12 months. There's 12 months between now and when the Premier says she will call an election. It gives everyone a fair chance to put their values before the people of my electorate and before the people of Queensland. I mean, the important thing to remember here is not that my values have changed. My values are the same as when I first went into Parliament. I want to see us deliver on the environment. I want to make sure that we're tackling climate change, delivering on public transport. I couldn't achieve that within the Labor Party, I think, because the Labor Party didn't want to hear the message. I called the Premier's office this afternoon and spoke to one of the staff there to get a phone number for the Premier, and she was kind enough to telephone me back this afternoon, and I said to her that, look, you just simply you can't get these issues up within the Labor Party. There was an opportunity.
Are you saying that you won't direct your preferences in the seat of Indooroopilly to the Labor Party?
Look, the whole nature of politics in Queensland is about to be turned on its head. The Greens are not a party that are solely anymore about doing preference deals. We're in the business to win primary votes and win seats. There's a message to the two other big parties, which is simply this: green it up, or we're going to chase your primary votes. We want to win. We want to see Greens elected to the Queensland Parliament.
So when did you speak to him by?
This afternoon.
What time was that?
At about, it would be at just after 2:30 this afternoon.
Was that after you'd been endorsed at the branch meeting?
No, it was after I had been accepted as a member of the Brisbane West branch of the Greens.
So you don't think you deserved to know before that?
Look, I've been a strong voice in the environment for quite some time. I haven't been able to convince the Premier to change direction. These are the sorts of things that are, they're difficult to do. It's always a challenge. I thought it was appropriate that I telephone her, but I also thought that it was appropriate that I not spend today dealing with, some of those pressures that you might find brought to bear upon you by that. I was fair to her. I gave her a call as a courtesy and let her know of what my decision was. But the message I gave to her on the phone today was, you've got to green up your government.
You're not leaving a sinking ship, are you?
Look, I've had the view for a long time that
You're joining a very floating ship, I can tell you.
I've had the view for a long time that a Green Bligh government in Queensland would go exceptionally well. I've had indications that in terms of local research, that I would have been, in a tight squeeze, re-elected as a Labor member in Indooroopilly. This is a decision I've made because I actually think that there are bigger issues than whether or not people continue to, sit in the benches and achieve nothing. I want to make sure that there's a strong Green voice in the Queensland Parliament. I couldn't get the Premier to accept that her government needs to be greener. And the fundamental reason for that was her default position. The default position of the two big parties is always, well, you've got a choice between, a crappy policy on the one hand or a slightly crappier policy on the other. There's now a third choice for the people of Queensland. That's a great thing.
Do you think you'd be doing this if Peter Beattie was Premier?
Look, that's always something you ponder. I was thrilled to have worked so closely with that government to deliver a great outcome on land clearing.
But you're not working closely with Bligh now. So what does that say about her leadership compared to Beattie?
Look, I think the issue here is about policy delivery. That's my view. It's been a long time since the tree clearing legislation was delivered in Queensland. There's an opportunity here, a great opportunity here for the Premier. She can tomorrow, with the stroke of a pen, sort out the feed-in tariff for solar. With the stroke of a pen, it would be a quick morning's work. She could do a great thing for the environment. She could move on Wild Rivers legislation. She could say to the federal government, you know what, we're not going to wait for you to make a decision on Traveston. We're just simply not going to proceed. These are things that are open to the Premier to do. She can make those decisions. That's up to her. I'd urge her to do it.
Do you think?
Is there widespread discontent in Labor regarding environmental?
Look, I believe so. I really believe so.
Do you know so?
Yes.
Will others follow you?
Look, I think the door's open. Very much believe that. I've had discussions with a range of people in the party, in the Labor Party, about my views on the environment, how the government is simply not delivering as well as it could. There's opportunities for me. Make no mistake, there's opportunities for any party, I think, these days, like the Labor Party in Queensland, to really deliver. There's some huge policy challenges, but huge policy opportunities. I think they're just silly not to engage in that way.
Do you